Hello, I'm Kurma. Welcome to the Gourmet Vegetarian Cooking Video Encyclopedia. This edition, we're going to show you how to prepare all these delicious vegetable dishes, such as biryani, vegetable rice casserole, savory samosas, cabbage salad, gobi pachadi, and fresh coriander chutney. So, let's begin. Biryani, baked vegetable rice casserole. Here's something very spectacular. Layers of cooked rice and beautifully sautéed vegetables and spices, baked in the oven and served hot and steaming. Let me show you some of the ingredients we've got here. Here we have a pot containing 4 cups of cooked turmeric rice. This started off being 2 cups of rice and we added 4 cups of water, 1 teaspoon of salt and 1 teaspoon of turmeric. Also, we've got 1 large eggplant which has been peeled and diced, 1 large red pepper which has been diced, 1 cup of cooked lima beans, 2 cups of tomato puree, 1 large zucchini which has been diced, 2/3 of a cup of slivered almonds, raw, 2/3 of a cup of raw cashews, and 2/3 of a cup of golden raisins. I've got 1½ teaspoons of ghee, we've got 1½ teaspoons of mustard seeds, 1 teaspoon of poppy seeds, 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne pepper, 1 teaspoon of garam masala, 4 teaspoons of turmeric, 1/2 teaspoon of coriander powder, 1 teaspoon of sugar, and 2/3 of a cup of butter. Now let me show you how to combine all those ingredients. First, add your ghee to a heavy pan, something big enough to contain all these vegetables. Then pop in your mustard seeds and fry them up till they crackle and pop. Now, add your poppy seeds. Now reduce the flame to very low. Add turmeric, cayenne pepper, coriander, and garam masala. Fry it all up. Now turn your flame back to full. Place in your eggplants like so. And our zucchinis. Red peppers. Add half the butter. Right. Now we have to saute it all up. Saute for about 1 or 2 minutes. And then add the tomato puree. The salt. And the sugar. Stir it all in. Toss in the lima beans. Stir it in. Turn the flame down to a simmer. Place the lid on the pot and cook the vegetables till they're 3/4 soft. Over here we have a Pyrex baking dish. We're going to start preparing our casserole here by first of all buttering the bottom of our dish like so. Now we want to place half of our rice in the bottom of the casserole dish. As close to half as you can. It's about half. Spread it over like this. Now we're going to saute our nuts and raisins in some butter. So melt some butter, the remaining butter that you had put aside, in a little pan. Toss in your almonds and cashews and toast them up. You can also put in your raisins if you like. And toast them in the butter until they start to go golden brown. The nuts, that is. The raisins are already golden. At this point we can have a look at our vegetables and see how they're going. They're coming along really well. In fact, they're practically done. Have a look. Beautiful colour, isn't it? So we'll turn the flame off on that. And let's get back to our nuts and raisins. They're done. Lightly golden. Turn off the flame there. Let's combine our nuts and raisins with our remaining rice. Let's combine all this. This is the top half of the casserole, and the vegetables are going to be the middle. Now let's fold in our vegetables. We're going to place all of our vegetables on top of our first layer of rice. Very carefully, so as not to disturb the bottom layer. There's a big meal here for about 8 or 10 people, I should think. Right, let's spread all that on top. Like so. And now let's place the last remaining layer of rice on top of that. Spread your rice layer right over the top. so. Making sure all the vegetables covered over. Now press your rice firmly all around. Now place in a preheated oven, 350 degrees, for about 30 minutes. One thing also, cover your casserole dish either with a lid or some foil. Tightly seal it. Place it in a preheated oven and bake for half an hour. On the top shelf, the oven set for 350 degrees, half an hour. See you then. Well, it's been 30 minutes. Let's see how it looks. It's done. Hot rice biryani. Samosas, tasty triangles of pastry stuffed with spiced vegetable filling, are India's most popular savoury. We're going to show you now how to make them. For this recipe, I've divided everything into two, the filling and the pastry. So first of all, we're going to make our pastry. 3 cups of white flour. Into that, we're going to add 4 tablespoons of butter. Now, at this stage, you should rub your butter in to your flour and then add your water. Now, we've already made a batch of pastry here. This just needs to be kneaded up a little more. This was made in exactly the same procedure as making puris, except this is all plain flour. And when you have this nice soft dough, you can proceed on. So now we're going to make our filling. In the meantime, I'm going to leave this covered over here. We've got 1 small cauliflower that's been shredded fine. We've got 2 cups of green peas that have been partially cooked. 1 tablespoon of cumin seeds, 1/4 teaspoon of asafoetida, 3 minced chilies, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon powder, 1/2 teaspoon of coriander, 1 teaspoon of fenugreek powder, a teaspoon of turmeric and 1/2 teaspoon of ginger. We've also got 2 tablespoons of ghee. Now, place your ghee in a heavy bottomed pan. And fry up your cumin seeds and chilies. Cumin seeds, fresh chilies, minced ginger, and the powdered spices. Fry the powdered spices momentarily. Add the peas. Cauliflower. Give it a good stir. Add a couple of tablespoons of water. Now stir fry your vegetables for about 10 or 15 minutes until everything's butter soft and dry. Now you don't necessarily have to use cauliflower and peas Some people like to make samosa filling out of potatoes, or potatoes and peas, or mixed vegetables. There's really no limit. But cauliflower and peas are, I guess you'd say, the traditional samosa filling. Now here we have the samosa filling after 10 minutes. It's been cooking on a fairly high flame. I've been stirring it most of the time. Notice how it's sticking in a few spots there. That's okay, because I found that the best samosa fillings do stick on the bottom. It gives it an extra little dimension of flavour. You notice how all the vegetables are completely dry. They're hot, they're dark in colour, and they're very soft and completely cooked. So now let's turn the flame off here. We're not going to cook it anymore. It's actually completely done. Firstly, I'm going to mash it before I transfer it out of the pot. I like to mash my samosa filling till it's all completely one. Some people like to keep the vegetables separate. I personally like to mash it till it's very smooth and creamy. But you can't use the filling when it's in this condition. You have to allow it to cool down. So what you would do now is transfer it out of the pot onto a dish and let it cool down. What we have over here, we're going to bring in our previously prepared filling, which is cold, mashed, and ready to go. So now let's progress on with our samosas. So first of all, re-knead your dough a little bit so it's all soft and pliable. Now, break off balls of dough larger than you normally would for puris. Roll them in the same manner between your palms, however. Let's pinch off, say, 3 here. Number 3. Right, now let's remove our big lump of dough to the side there. Take your lump of dough, as you normally do for a puri, press it down into a patty, and roll it out, as you normally would a puri. Although this is going to be a larger than usual puri. If it looks like it's going to stick on the bottom of the bench there, or your cutting board, or your rolling board, whatever you're using, then rub a little butter on. We don't need any flour on the board. Continue to roll until you get a big disc, 6 to 8 inches in diameter. Like so. Now this is important. This stage, you take one knife, cut your samosa dough ring in half, like so. Pick up 1/2 of the pastry, bring the 2 pointy ends together like so, place your middle finger in between and seal along that join. Now, if you're a little worried that perhaps the pastry will not stay together, take a little water, run it along the seam there, and press firmly, and that will guarantee that it won't open. Now, turning upside down, you'll notice you have a cone shape. Now, inside that cone, we're going to put our filling. So take a spoon and place some filling into your samosa pastry shell here till it's about 3/4 of the way up, no further. Take some water, run it around the inside rim of the pastry and close it up, sealing between your thumb and finger there very tightly, like so. So now you have a 1/2 inch strip of pastry there where there's no filling. So squeeze and turn, squeeze and turn like this until you have this nice fluted shape. And there you have a samosa ready to fry. So you can continue on like that until all your filling has been used or all your pastry is used, whatever runs out first. Generally speaking, if you follow this recipe, the pastry and the samosa filling should run parallel. So once again, place your pastry. So once again, place your filling in your pastry like so. Add some water. Seal very securely. And there's this nice twisting action. Twisting and folding, like so. Add a little extra shape to your samosa there by putting on a little point on the bottom if you like. That adds to the attractiveness of the samosa. So there's 2 samosas ready to go. Now what we're going to do is now place them in some ghee that's been heated to about 350 degrees. Now place your samosas in very cool ghee. When I say very cool ghee, when they first go in, they should just sit on the bottom like that and a few little bubbles should appear. See? Just slight bubbles. If the ghee is any hotter than that, then your samosas are cooking too quickly. So this is not like pakoras when you immediately put them in and they start to rise to the top. These should sit on the bottom for probably a minute or so, and gradually they'll rise to the top and cook. Now they should cook for no less than 10 minutes. And you should be on hand to turn them over when the time arises so that they're cooked evenly on both sides. If you cook them slowly like this, you'll end up with very nice, crunchy samosas that are cooked right through. So it's been 3 minutes now. Let's have a look at our samosas. See how they've just floated to the surface? This is good. And if you have a look at them, they're practically the same colour as they were when they went in. They're just a little firmer. So we'll come back in another 5 minutes and have a look at them. So our samosas are done. It's been about 10 minutes now. As you can see, they're golden brown and crisp. Let's take them out of the ghee. And here they are, a plate of golden hot samosas. Here's another fresh chutney that's easy to prepare and delicious, served with a variety of savoury dishes. It's called fresh coriander chutney, and as the name suggests, we're using fresh coriander. Here's a bunch of fresh coriander which I got from the markets, and we're just going to be using the leaves. So I've separated the leaves from 4 of those bunches, and we've come up with 4 cups of fresh coriander leaves here. Don't forget to wash your coriander very nicely, just like you would spinach. It's very sandy. Along with our fresh coriander leaves, we're going to use 4 tablespoons of fresh grated coconut, 2 tablespoons of fresh minced peeled ginger, 2 fresh green chilies that have been minced also, half a teaspoon of dry roasted cumin seeds, 1 teaspoon of sugar, 1 teaspoon of salt, and 4 tablespoons of lime or lemon juice. Now all you have to do for this particular chutney is take one food processor like this and place all your ingredients inside it. Now, if this was in India, the housewife who's preparing this chutney, she would grind this all to a paste on a big stone mortar. But generally speaking, these things are not available in a Western kitchen. So we're going to use the help here of our food processor, which makes this very, very quick. We've got our fresh coriander leaves in there. Let's pour in our lemon juice. And all our other ingredients, we've got our coconut, our ginger, chilies, and our sugar and salt and cumin powder. Let's get it rolling. Yes, it's beautiful and green and fresh, beautiful with a variety of savoury dishes. Serve it as fresh as possible. Fresh coriander chutney. Gobi pachadi, North Indian cabbage salad. It's like the Indian equivalent of coleslaw. It's something very interesting. Let me show you the ingredients. We've got a fresh cabbage here which has been shredded very fine. There's about 3 cups of cabbage there. Along with that, we're going to add 2 1/4 cups of very finely diced tomato, along with half a cup of peanut powder, 2/3 of a cup of desiccated coconut, 1 1/2 teaspoons of freshly squeezed lemon juice, 1 teaspoon of brown sugar, a teaspoon of salt, a pinch of asafoetida, 1/4 teaspoon of turmeric, 1/2 teaspoon of cumin powder, 1 tablespoon of fresh minced chilies, 1/2 teaspoon of mustard seeds, whole, 2 tablespoons of olive oil, and some coriander leaves for garnish. Now we're going to add some of our ingredients together here in our bowl. We've got cabbage and the tomatoes. Let's pour in our peanut powder, our fresh desiccated coconut, our lemon juice. We've got our salt and our sugar. Now let's, using our hands here, I think this is the best way of mixing up this salad. Mix it all up a little bit, like so. It's a very unusual salad. Now we're going to add our olive oil to our pan here. Let's fry up our mustard seeds until they crackle. Let's add our fresh chilies, like so, plus our cumin powder, turmeric powder, asafoetida. Saute that till everything's nicely cooked. Now let's add this to our salad. Now all that remains is to mix those seasonings in very well, like so. Making sure that everything's mixed in completely. And there it is, a beautiful, simple to prepare North Indian cabbage salad.